Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Sel. In today's video, I'm going to show you all of my completed pages from February to April. So February was not really a very productive coloring month for me. That was when we traveled to Singapore for my medical appointment, and then I did some haul during February, and then March was not so much better than February because I'll talk to you about it as I go through the books. But my point is April is when I think I got my mojo back. So let's start strong with this book, Fairy Tales and Folklore by Emily Lighterhall Oberg. And I will just show you the page that I completed back in February. It's the mice in teacups. And my inspiration for this is I tried to look up the fairy tale behind this illustration because I wanted to get more information about the fairy tale. There are many fairy tales about mice in teacups, but one of the fairy tales that I read that seems to fit this illustration the most is a story about a mouse who lived in an old woman's cupboard, and every day that mouse admired the old lady's china teacups and teapot. So the mice admired it so much that he dreamed of sailing in the teacup like a ship into the horizon. And then one day the mouse was actually able to go into the teacup, and then he pretended that it was a ship. And then the old lady somehow didn't see that the mouse was in the teacup. So she poured tea into the teacup. And then as she was lifting the teacup to her mouth to drink the tea, the mouse felt like he was sailing through the kitchen, and he was seeing like the sun through the kitchen window as he sailed from the table to the old woman's mouth. Like even the tea in the water felt like he was in the ocean or in the sea. And then somehow the old woman drank the tea without the mouse included. So the mouse repeated this every day. That was how he enjoyed his teacup. So every day he would go into the teacup and let the woman pour tea, and then drink the tea, and then he would sail into the through the kitchen like that. So that's the most fitting fairy tale that I read for this image. And so what I did is so I put like a sun. I think there was nothing here. I'm not sure, but I think there was nothing here. It's just the mice, the teacups, and the flowers. I tried to depict it as the mice like having an adventure and imagining that they're sailing in the sea, and then they're seeing the sun in the horizon. And in the story, it was through the kitchen window, but I just made it like literally they're sailing outside. I colored the waves bluish, but there's also some brownish color there to fade into the orange. And so the brownish, I think, is an homage to the tea. In reality, like if you think about it, why didn't the mouse get burned from the tea? I mean, was it cold tea that the woman was drinking? I would think it was hot tea, right? Anyway, in this picture, there are two mice. So I don't know if that was the correct fairy tale. Probably not. But I think I like how this turned out in the backstory that I have for this. And then the lines I drew using, it was the Sigma pen. Uniball Sigma pen. Yeah, so I got that recently, and I used it to draw the lines for the sun rays and then to outline the waves. I This was a whip for a long time because I was waiting for the pen to arrive so I could do the lines. I didn't have a white gel pen before, or none that I would be able to work with over gouache like this. By the way, I used gouache for this page. This is how it turned out. Then the next page that I did in this book is this rabbit page. This one I did in March. And in March, what happened was I have a lung infection. And because I had COVID last year around September. And then the COVID led to a fungus that infected my lungs. So I already have a very low immune system. So what happened was back in September, I had COVID. And then the COVID led to pneumonia, which led to an infection in my lungs caused by a fungus that developed because of my illness and the treatments that I've been having. So I already have a very low immune system. It made me more likely to contract the fungus infections that normal people won't have. I was prescribed an antibiotic in March. So I started taking the antibiotics on the first day of March, and this was the second week of March. So I'd been taking it for a week. And then the side effect that I didn't know it was giving me was a lack of concentration, depression, anxiety. And at the time, I didn't understand why. I just didn't have the motivation to do anything. I didn't want to color. In fact, this is when I tried to sit down and color, and I couldn't concentrate. Like, I couldn't think properly. And so it's not an excuse, but it's just this picture reminds me of that time that my brain couldn't concentrate on anything. And maybe this is a PSA to other people who might be interested, to be careful in taking antibiotics. I don't know how commonly doctors prescribe antibiotics, but please, if you do not have to take antibiotics, do not take antibiotics, because taking antibiotics in the long run, it will give you the side effects that I mentioned, that it will make you prone to depression, anxiety, sleeplessness, pains in your body, even kidney damage. So, and it's a compounding effect. The more you take antibiotics, the more you're likely to develop those side effects in the future. And the longer it will take your body to get rid of that antibiotics that remains in your body after the period of taking it. So it's it's better to just try to find a different alternative if you can. For me, I told my doctor about it. She changed my antibiotics, but the side effects were different. So I stopped taking it until altogether. And anyway, so that's a different story. So this is my rabbit page. And I based it with gesso. And so the page is a lot rougher than the normal page. But what I can say, the difference between a gesso prep page versus a non-gesso prep page is I can spread the color easier with gesso, and I can lift colors easier as well, compared to this one. It was this one was a bit harder to blend without the gesso. This one was easier in terms of blending, but you won't know that because of the way that I colored it without my concentration. It looks awful. Um, what I did try was the background. I tried to give it like a speed motion effect. Maybe in the future, I'll use smaller strokes because the strokes for me are a bit too large. Or maybe if I go in with colored pencils, I can revise or improve this page, refine the rabbit in the background. But I'm okay with this. Yeah, so that's my Alice in Wonderland rabbit with a house. I tried to look for a fairy tale about a rabbit carrying a house on its back. I can't find any. It's just Alice in Wonderland is the closest thing. And then my the last page that I colored in this book is the bunny, the Easter bunny. I colored this in April. After Easter, I thought, hey, I wasn't able to color any Easter pages. So, and I remembered that this book had a lot of Easter pages. So I decided to try watercolors this time. And it was nice. I finished this in about 2 hours. Yeah, the fastest page I finished in this book so far. So yeah, it's watercolor and it's just one layer, I think. I didn't even try to go in with details. So that is my Easter rabbit page. The next book is Mini Mania by Gabby Wolf, and it's this page. So you might have seen this already in my previous video. I did a color along or speed coloring. I'm not sure what it's called, but I tried to color this. So I did this one with Prismacolors and this one with polychromos. So Prismacolors, I learned, does not work very well on this page, but polychromos does. And also Color. Color I tested here and it works nice, very nicely. So I was surprised when Prismacolor didn't really work so well. So I will give you a close-up. So you can see that the blending is not that nice. I even used a blender pencil for this because it just wouldn't blend. Unlike polychromos on this side, it was blending like a dream. And the lightest touch was giving me pigment. But with Prismacolor, it was rough. That's all I can say. It was so rough. And so I actually did my color along using the other duplicate version of the page with a lighter line art. And this was done with polychromos. And yeah, blending is so different. And yeah, if you want to see how I colored this, you can see it in my past video, Color Along for Gabby Wolf's Mini Mania 2. My next book is A Million Magical Creatures by Lulu Mayo. Okay, show you this one. This is the first page that I colored when I received this book back in February. I immediately colored this page on the same day that I opened the box. And I'll try to zoom in a little bit. There. So, yeah, it's the frog, father and son frog. Oh, I think March. Yeah, it says here March. I colored this in March, and I used color pencils to color this page. And then the next day, I colored this page, the opposite page, also with color pencils. Yeah, and what I tried to do was I tried to make the background like a foggy swamp kind of background, and a suggestion of trees and plants back there. And then kind of a muggy sky. And then I decided to give him a black suit because he's a musician. And I figured they're a band. And what do bands wear? They wear a suit, matching suits. I regretted giving him a black jacket. I should have given him a red jacket like this, but I think it's all right. So yeah, this is my first time to try a black suit, and it's all right. Yeah, I think I'm okay with this page. I like the fairies. How the fairies turned out. Yeah, the fairies are pretty cute. And then this one I did. You see, this book, when I got it, like it was already getting like the spine is broken here. When I got this book, it was already like this, and I had already colored it before I saw that the spine was broken. And then now, as I colored the other pages, the pages are coming off. So I don't know what to do. I don't want to. Oh shoot, my hands are dirty. Let me erase this for a bit. Let me try to erase this. It doesn't want to come off. Right, so I did this page maybe later in March. I did this one. So my concept for this is like a boba drink, and that's why there are pearls down here, the black pearls in boba. I guess that's the boba. And then yeah, it's like a taro boba drink, and it's so delicious in your mouth that there are unicorn mermaids coming out. Like when you drink it, it's like unicorn mermaids are bursting in your mouth with magic. That's how good it is. That's just how I interpreted this in my imagination. However, she did put a lemon, so I don't know. You don't normally put a taro drink with lemon, so maybe she was thinking that this is like a citrusy, fruity tea boba. But I think it looks okay, purple and yellow. So that's my boba page. And then I did this one, and I'm pretty happy with this. I think this is my favorite that I did in March. I just wanted the moon to really stand out and then cast a glow around the objects. So that's my, I did this in gouache with Himi gouache, and this one as well is with Himi gouache. Yeah, I really like this page. And then this one, March, I think, as well. And I don't like this as much as the other pages. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's too plain to me. Originally, this just had this shell. I just added the hand and then this background. And the bubbles were there. So yeah, that's my last Lulu Mayo page. I was out buying books for my daughter, and I found this in the used bookstore. So yeah, I got it used, very cheap, less than $1. So I picked it up. Couldn't believe that it was there. And so I didn't even open it. I just picked it up and paid for it without looking through. So in hindsight, I should have opened it first and then decided, even if it was less than $1. But I thought it was worth it. So I will show you what the state of it when I bought it. So it's already been colored. Several pages were already colored, such as this one. Looks like the person used markers. Like regular markers. And then here as well, the person who owned this colored it with markers again. It's not bad. They had an idea, they just didn't want to finish it. And the markers bled through on the next page. And then what else did the person do? Did the previous owner do? Here, he also did that. Certainly using this book as a, just a random coloring book. And this one's not so nice. It's just a bit messy. Trying to see if there's more. Well, this is what I colored. Let me zoom out. Yeah. I had fun with this page, surprisingly. And it is really like doodle style. So I started with the doodles. I started coloring like each element, and then before you know it, you're halfway done, and then you move on to the big element here, the tiger. And then I had fun like using different colors for the tiger as well. So I used like purples and blues and reds to show, and pinks to show that kind of there's a light that's bouncing off of the tiger, and it's a kaleidoscope of light, and it's a burst of colors. I don't know if the tiger is emerging from all this doodle, or it's the other way around, the doodle is emerging from the tiger. Either way, it's very beautiful. The imagination, I mean, is very beautiful. And I did try to use the colors that I used here on the tiger. And then for the background, the concept is like a sunset background. and I used color pencils. My first time to use pure color pencils for background, and this was all done with color color pencils, and I had a lot of fun playing with colors and gradients and just letting go and not having any expectations. And so when I was done, I was actually surprised that, hey, I did it. And this paper is not the same as the paper in other books of his. This is very, very thin, and I don't think I can use watercolor or gouache on this. So colored pencil is the perfect medium for this kind of paper. And the reason I say that I should have looked through or paged through it before I bought it, even if it's less than $1. Aside from the colorings, if I count all the pages that have already been colored, I only have really a couple of pages that I can color on my own. And those that are left are like not my favorite. So they're like these kinds of pages where I have to draw. I don't mind drawing. I like drawing. It's just that I bought a coloring book, so I expect to color, and now I have to draw. So, but maybe one day I will have the impulse to doodle. Who knows? I still think it's a great book from Kirby. Um, so I don't mind having it in my collection. Is what I mean. I'm just surprised at how many of these pages there are. The ones where you have to complete the scene by yourself, like this. Not really into drawing bats. So yeah, that's my first Kirby Rosales page and spread. The next one I have to show is from Tales from Atlantis by Hannah Carlson. And um, this is supposed to be a body color with Jenna Ivy from Instagram for April. And this was the page that we both voted on. I colored this with watercolors, and I was actually at the beach. I brought this to the beach on the second week of April, and it was such a lovely time coloring at the beach. And I just thought this is the perfect book to bring because it's all aquatic, and in where I am, it's already summer. So all the pages here are just perfect to color at the beach. Surprisingly, I only colored this one because I wanted to do other things other than stay in the room and color. So I brought my watercolor set and colored in my room's balcony. So that was nice. So this is the page. It's just a vase, pillar, these fish, corals, and leaves. And then I added the background, the water, and the sparkling water on top, and some shapes in the back to suggest corals or rock formations underwater. And I added some fish also. Yeah, this was fun. I was surprised at the quality of this paper. This paper really takes watercolor well, and I layered the watercolor too. Initially I colored the octopus blue, and then I changed my mind because I felt like it blended too much with the background, so I made it orange. I feel like these formations are too dark, that it takes away from the main image or the main illustration. I'm not sure, but if I were to do it again, I'd probably use this color, this tone, um, and to suggest the shapes. So that's my vase and pillar ruins page. And then this one was done using gouache because I wanted to change her face. Because I wanted to make her the sea goddess in Ponyo. Ponyo is a Ghibli film, and there's a sea goddess there. Um, so she in that movie, that sea goddess looks very kind, benevolent, beautiful, and her smile is just magnificent. And she had like this pinkish reddish lipstick. So I decided to paint over everything and then just did the whole face from scratch with a gouache. And I really like how it turned out. She does look a lot more kind and happy compared to the original drawing. What else can I say? Oh, with I used the Uniball Sigma gel pens for the stars and the glow here. So yeah, that's my 2 pages in Tales from Atlantis by Hannah Carlson. The next book is Mythomorphia. Mythomorphia, so this is the one that I hauled in February from Amazon. See, the page is a lot thicker than Animorphia. And the one that I did is this one. This one is the Mountain Troll. And at first, I just colored it with watercolor. And then when I finished it, I thought I was done. But then my mind kept going back to it. And I just couldn't let go of it. And so I thought, it needs something. I don't know what, but it needs something more. And so I used colored pencils, Prismacolors and Polychromos to add some shading and lighten up the rocks a little bit on this part because I had made it too dark. And with the white colored pencil, I was able to lighten up some of the rocks here. So it was pretty cool actually. And then the colored pencil just went on very, very smoothly over the watercolor. So I was so surprised, pleasantly surprised. So easy to lay down color over watercolor. And I added some more green tones to the rocks as well. Green and yellow tones just to suggest moss. And then I also darkened some parts here with more gray colored pencil. And here the face, I also defined it better and added more colors rather than just gray and light gray. I added more colors to the face to make it more interesting. And what else? My concept for this is I wanted to give it like a cold, mountainous, like a cold, foggy mountain look. So you can see that I used dark blue colors in the background because it's cold and foggy, and in my mind this is an isolated place where nobody really goes. So but it's very lush and beautiful, and you can survive in this mountain. That's why this house here is happily in this mountain, subsisting with all these creatures and plants and environment. But nobody really comes here, so it's a bit secluded. It's a mysterious mountain, because it's actually guarded by a troll, a magical troll. And then in my watercolor, the trees, the foliage were a bit more yellow green, yellowish tone of green. And that for me is summer. So to make it look colder again, to go back to the original concept of cold place, I added a bluish tone to the trees to make them look more like pine trees and in a cold weather. So I'm not sure if I'm explaining that very well, but I think you are getting what I mean. And I also tried to add different colors to the bushes, because I was thinking that bushes come in different variety of colors. It's not just green and yellow green. Sometimes there's brown, there's reds, there's purples, there's oranges, yellows. So I tried to do that and add a bit more variety. And what happened was I was able to get some of the colors here from the reindeer and the dragon egg back here to the foliage here. So it looked kind of balanced all around, because I was able to bring the colors around the page. And what I really like about this is the water. So at first, I didn't see the waterfall, but as I was coloring it, I understood that, oh, that's a waterfall. And so I spotted like this waterfall was very obvious, but I added my own like sources, kind of trickles of water in places as well, just to add more blues and make it more like lush. So I feel like it has come alive because of these additions with colored pencils. And also the background was very patchy with watercolor. So when I tried to improve it or make it blend more smoothly with colored pencils, it looks more smooth now. So that's a tip. Or maybe just for me, because you probably already know that you can improve it with colored pencil. Although I'm not, I don't think I'm going to make it a habit to base with watercolor and then go in with colored pencil for shading and etc. and details, because it's like coloring it twice over. So I'd prefer just coloring it once with watercolor and then being done with it. That's just my lazy coloring. And the last book that I was working on is this by the Daiso Easy Coloring Book for Adults. And I know not a lot of people are interested in this book, but I'm going to show you anyway what I've been working on, and it's this one. This one is my contribution to the April's Autism Awareness Month, and there's a hashtag butterflies for autism color along, something like that, and it's hosted by eArt Studios and Finding Joy in Color at Instagram and in YouTube. It's just yellow flowers with butterflies. So the butterflies were already there, and then as I was coloring the flowers, I remembered seeing in Instagram that they have an autism coloring hashtag where you add either a gold or a blue butterfly to your page, and then use the hashtag butterflies for autism color along. And so I decided to make the butterflies blue and submit this as my participation for that hashtag. And this book has samples so that you can follow. So this is the sample colored version of the illustration, and this is what I did. So I didn't really follow the sample. Instead, I checked the name of this flower on Pinterest, and then that's where I based the colors of the flowers and the leaves from. And then I also didn't follow the color of the butterflies because I wanted it to be blue, whereas the original was purple. And I enjoyed that so much that I colored this as well. This one, I actually made a huge mistake on the flowers. I colored this using watercolor, and I was so happy with the way that watercolor worked on this paper that I wanted to color more. And then when I was coloring this, I thought I want to use up my Himi gouache, so why don't I use gouache like watercolor? And so I did that, and then it was so awful because just there's, you can see here how there's like some luminance to the flowers, like you can see where the light is being reflected, and just some transparency happening there, and the vibrance of the colors that was not there with the Himi gouache for this flower. And I was so frustrated because it was looking darker and darker and darker with every layer of color that I was using. It just looked muddier and muddier and darker, and it was just looked like a dead flower. So I had to like lift all the colors and then do it again from scratch. So I lifted out all the Himi gouache that I had put down, and so you see this is very, very warped because of that. So all that water from lifting out the color, that's where that is from. But I did save it, so I used the watercolor again that I used for the yellow flowers, and I used it here on the lilies, and I think it's okay. I think it's not the best, but given that I had already made a mistake and this is the second time I'm putting in colors on the same flowers, I am happy with the way this paper took it. It didn't break, it didn't peel, it just took it. So, what else can you ask for from a coloring book that's like $2? And then the last one is I finished last night. This is the Rowan fruit. What I like about this coloring book is after you color it, because the line art is so light, it just looks like your own piece of art. Nobody would know that this was a coloring book. And then if you tear it, there's a perforation here, and then give it to someone, they would never know that, this was actually a coloring book. This one, I did copy the original illustration here. I copied the berries because I thought, it's simple enough, so I can just copy that. And then, but in terms of the leaves, because of the way that the artist had colored the leaves, I wasn't a big fan. It looks very messy, and I didn't really like the colors, so I used my own. And of course, I looked at references for the same kind of plant, and in the reference pictures, the plant's leaves had was more green, so I like that better. Yeah, if I wanted to, I can go in with colored pencils again and then make the shading, I mean, blend it a little bit more, blend the colors a little bit more. If I were to give this to someone, that's what I would do, but I don't think I will do it right now. So that's it. That's all my completed pages from February to April. And thank you very much for watching. Let me know what's your favorite, and if there are any of these books you want to body color with me, just let me know in the comments. And you can catch me on YouTube at Cell Colors. Right. Thank you, and take care, and try to take care of someone else. Bye. Thanks for watching.